The new stock we're shooting is one of the Vision 3 films, so it has the same benefits that the Vision 3 stocks have. So extended highlights is one of those things. So we'll set up a lot of our scenes. The windows maybe are 3-4 stops overexposed, and then shadows as well. We'll let them go pretty dark. So when we get to the DI, we'll see how much detail we can pull out of the shadows and highlights.
You got it?
Yep.
Okay.
One of the attributes of the new 5213 is its faithful reproduction of color. In this first sequence, we wanted to create something that would showcase this a bit. The dynamic tones of the studio and the diversity of our two characters should give us a good idea as to the range of possibilities that can be achieved with this new product. On them, your skin tone. In this first scene, I used HMI lights mixed with ambient daylight. I wanted to see how the 5213 would render the two skin tones. A 6K HMI par provided a really nice backlight on the actors and added some bright highlights on the white sheets. And I like how the HMI bounce gave their faces a soft glow. And the two skin tones compare favorably to the 5217, but with a slightly less yellow appearance, which is consistent with the Vision 3 family. In this one under condition, the colorist magnified the woman's face. In the midtones and shadows, the 5213 has finer grain, which gives a smoother quality to the woman's skin. I shot this scene with tungsten lights and tungsten balanced kinoflows. Like the other films in the Vision 3 family, 5213 has similar color saturation compared to the previous Vision 2 stocks. However, I do notice an increased purity of the yellow, while the blues and greens appear similar. The color reproduction of 5213 is designed to cut seamlessly with our other Vision 3 stocks. It's always a challenge for any recording medium to accurately render different skin tones within the same frame. I want you to notice the musician in the middle as we switch to the 5217. His skin color is slightly more yellow. Now coming back to the 13, notice the musician on the right. The color of his skin is similar to the 17, but with a more neutral appearance, and again, consistent with the look of the Vision 3 family. In the second segment, I wanted to look at the extreme dynamic range of a bright exterior and a very dark interior. Our sun was a 6K HMI par, which gave us an intense backlight and bright areas on the shop's concrete floor. Also, I wanted to shoot some exterior shots to see how the 13 handles color in natural daylight. So if you want to bring her in from back there to introduce the shot, get her in this position, and then we'll cut or pan or wipe or whatever from the technical.
Okay.
Here we have our metal artist working outside. We backlit her with the 6K and added some soft HMI fill. The colorist graded the scene to match the woman's gray t-shirt. As you can see, the colors and her skin tone compare favorably between the two stocks. Though I do feel the grass is a bit more natural looking on the 13. It appears to have less yellow in it. As we jump to an overexposure, the color of the 13 remains very consistent with the previous normal exposure. Here the 13 is rated at EI 200 versus EI 100. The 13 can be rated at 100 with image quality improvements over 5212. Here's a simple mixed light comparison. I lit the metal artist with tungsten balanced Kino flows, and for the shop light in the background, I used cool white fluorescent tubes. The scene was graded to match the gray t-shirt. As you can see, the color of the fluorescent light on the back wall was consistent in both stocks. In this last comparison scene, we wanted to test the overexposure latitude of the 5213. The highlights in the scene were 4 to 5 stops over. The colorist added a luminance mask for just the highlight areas. If you look closely on the floor and the bright exterior, you can see more detail and tonality with the 13. Now watch the shadows on both sides as we do another luminance mask. Again, there's more detail in the 13. Extended highlights, better color, and improved grain, along with superior images and scanning applications, makes 5213 a perfect complement to our Vision 3 family. This is a follow-up 16 comparison sequence showcasing Vision 3 7213. This first comparison scene was designed to test the extended highlight capability of 7213. The stained glass window in the background is about 6 stops over, and the shadows are about 4 stops under. The intent was to see what detail could be recovered in the DI suite. Here the colorist created a luminance mask for just the windows in order to bring out some detail. The 13 has greater tonality and color in the trees outside the window. For this medium close-up, I shot an exposure series from normal to 2 stops underexposed. The 2 normal exposures compare favorably, though the 13 feels a little smoother overall. On the 1 under condition, the colorist magnified the image so we could look at the grain in the dark background. If you focus on the man's face and the dark shelf in the background, it's quite apparent that the 13 has a tighter grain structure than the 17. Finally, at 2 stops underexposed, there's no doubt that the 13's finer grain in these areas is improved over the 17. This shot is mainly about faithfully capturing different skin tones. Notice the subtle colors in each of the musicians' faces. Watch the man on the left as we cut to the 72-17. Here you can see that his face is warmer, slightly more yellow than the 13. Now notice the musician on the right. Back to the 72-13, his skin is more neutral, giving a pleasing rendition of his natural skin color. Lastly, we're going to repeat 2 scenes, using just the 72-13 to demonstrate how careful grain management can dramatically improve the image structure of 16mm stock. Area relativity software was used to minimize the grain while preserving the detail of the scene. Here's the same shot with no grain management. The brick wall above his head is a good place to observe the smoother texture as the scene switches back to the grain managed version. It's quite impressive how much detail and image quality can be maintained in a large screen projection. For our final comparison, this medium close-up is a good scene to look at grain in the man's face and the slightly out-of-focus background. Many times, filmmakers desire the texture that 16mm provides. Other times, it's desirable to minimize the grain for a higher quality look. Either way, it's nice to know that 16mm can look this good. 72-13 is a great addition to the Vision 3 family. For a mid-speed tungsten film, it increases your options and extends the possibilities, both on set and in post-production.